Actually, Blender's not as hard as it looks at all. I know there's a lot of buttons and a lot of different numbers, a lot of words that don't make any sense, but trust me, none of it really matters. You don't have to care about basically any of it. But there are a few simple things that are actually kind of fun and kind of easy to do with a little teaching. And I think it's a program that most people could get into if they really wanted to, and runs on most computers. And it's free, which is perfect. So you'll always start a new file, so unsaved, unnamed, Blender 4.0, with a light, a cube, and a camera. And we're just going to go ahead and press A to delete all those with X. So the first thing that's kind of weird about these programs is your mouse doesn't work how you want it to. You have to drag around in this program with your middle mouse. So middle mouse just regularly rotates around things. It's kind of weird to figure out where the center is, but using your other type of movement, you can really get around anywhere. That's holding shift and middle mouse. That shifts you around the plane. Then, of course, you can zoom in and out. So today we're going to make a plane. Something simple, but still takes some mechanics and uses some of the things in the engine that are kind of important. So here I just grabbed a UV sphere. From this menu, you press Shift A and you can create all these sorts of things. All these are complicated, and this is all for like recording animations and stuff, but all we really care about is these. And you'll notice in the bottom left, in multiple things in this program, there's going to be a pop-up menu that you can bring out with a bunch of different things. Some of these will be a little complicated. I just don't mess with them. But for our spheres, especially, and our cylinders, it's important to know that we can change these amounts. So I'm going to say 10, 12 rings would be good. Click away to cancel that. So now that we have our thing, we can actually start doing stuff to it. And to do that, you go into edit mode. This is where the magic happens. And this is where you get all your real tools to change and warp it. So in edit mode, there's 3 key modes within it. This is your vertex mode, which is all the corners. This is your edge mode, which is all the edges, of course. And then this is your face mode, which is all the flat faces. And basically all shapes in 3D programs that are, for the most part, cohesive and make sense will be made of quads, which are just 4-sided faces, and tris, which are just 3-sided faces. So to get started with our plane, I'm thinking we should make this the nose. So I'm going to select everything with A. No matter what mode you're in, it'll always select everything. And I'm going to rotate with R. Now you see it's a little wonky. It doesn't go in any specified direction, but I just pressed R and I can drag around wherever, even off screen, and it'll loop back. And it's rotating it wherever. But the real way to get precision is to lock it to an axis. So now I'm only spinning it along the X, or I'm only spinning it along the Y or the Z. You do that by pressing the X, Y, and Z on your keyboard. It's pretty easy, but you will mess up which one you're pressing. I do it all the time. So for this one, I'm thinking we're going to tip it on its side. And another neat thing you can do, you can also press your number keys to say how much you want to rotate it. So I want to turn it on its side, which would be 90 degrees. So I just put 90 and left click to enter it. If I rotate something and say, oh, I don't want this, I right click. Simple. And now that we have this, I'm going to go into face mode, and then I'm going to start creating the body of our plane. So W, which is this tool, it'll cycle between a bunch of different ones. The box marquee tool will select most of the things you want, and that's what I use most of the time. So we're going to select half the plane, or half of our ball that will be a plane, with shift and click and drag to add everything to our selection instead of just selecting the new things. And now I'm going to grab it with G. And this will do the same thing as the rotate. It'll be all wonky and everywhere. We're going to just lock it to the Y and extend it outwards. We're just going to give it a bunch of distance. That should be okay. So when you're working in 3D software, you want to have a lot of faces to work with, or else you'll be cutting in places and it'll get all complicated. So to make it more uniform, we do Control R in this program, or this tool right here. This basically makes more edge loops that are along your mesh. And with this tool, you can scale up and down with your scroll wheel to say how many you want. So I want to get a bunch. I think I'm going to make each one of these faces a window. And when I click, it lets me like shift around wherever, but I can right click and just have it same place. But I'm thinking I'm going to do the same thing. Just one edge loop for the wings a little lower down. And you'll see where that comes into play soon. And it might be a little weird. Sometimes you'll have to do some quick fixes. The program does do a lot of things you won't want it to do, and that's kind of just how it is. So to fix this, we can use this knife tool in accordion with the vertex tool to join these and make it a little less complicated. So we'll just cut vertice to vertice, enter. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So we have our big log, and now we're going to actually be able to form this into a plane. I'm going to drag this out. This will be our nose. So grab it, snap it to the Y, then probably just these. And grab them out, up to the Y, or just select these. Then I'll drag these out too. Maybe put them a little lower. So I don't want it to move left or right, even though I'm almost flat. I don't want to move it along this axis. So how I move along both of the other ones is by pressing Shift X. So all of the other axes but X, I'm moving it along. And then probably just go to vertex mode and drag this out a little bit. There we go. Simple, wonky looking plane. Doesn't have to be perfect. This is going to be the butt of our plane. So Shift X, deselect these, Control click. You can always use this thing, I forget to mention, but you can always use this thing to rotate. And that will probably be easier to use on a trackpad. I don't know how you would use middle mouse on a trackpad. But you can also click on each of these. Like if I click on the overhead Z, it'll snap me to the top. And it'll put you into this kind of weird view, but it basically just flattens everything, every part of your project, and puts it on this grid. Shift X. And there's definitely easier ways to do these things, but as you get better and better, especially using the internet, you'll find tools that help you a lot. Just get this one now, drag it out, and then just drag you out. It's a little thinner than the rest of the plane, so probably should be good. Now here, I'm going to press S to scale. So as you'll see, it'll scale in all directions. It'll make it just larger or bigger. But if you lock it to an axis, it'll go all warpy. It'll only crush it on one axis at a time. Just press S again, lock it to the X, and that should be good. So now, we should give our plane a few wings. I'm gonna say probably these 6 sound good towards the middle of the plane. So it's kind of hard to tell where these 6 are on the other side if I want to make it symmetrical. So I can use some of these buttons up here. Some of them are weird, but especially these ones, they won't like completely ruin your project. They'll just change how you see it. Like viewport shading toggles it on and off. This one makes everything flat, matte. This is the default one, which is basic shadows. Then there's this one, which is kind of nice because it makes everything basically see-through, but it's a little hard to work with. But I'm going to use this to select the other side and make it uniform just like that. Switch it right back. So from here, I'm going to use one of the best tools in this program, which is the extrude tool, which you use by pressing E. So right now it's locked to the y-axis or the z-axis. I don't want to do that, but I'll show you that it basically makes a new surface coming out of another one. That's a little weird because it's coming out of the other side, but to fix that, we're just going to scale it so it extrudes with scaling instead of just my grab. And from here, we're going to scale with the X because we just want it to go out in that direction. We'll say about there. Sounds about good. So now we have our whole wing. Just extruded it out of the body. I say we should make these a little sharper. So we're scaling them, and then I want to shrink them down along the Y to make their fins tiny. That looks good. And then now from here, I'm going to grab it and take it backwards. Make sure to lock it to the Y. There we go. Now we're going to make our plane a little more aerodynamic by adding a few fins in the back. We're going to go back to object mode, and then we're going to use a plane this time. Not like this plane, but just a flat square of 0 thickness and bring it out front so we can work with it. And go back to edit mode. I'm going to extrude it just a little bit so we can make it have some thickness. And then from here, I'm going to go to vertex mode. I'm going to select these two, and I want to make it a triangle. And I want to glue these to this. So I can do that by, of course, I can lock it to the Y and get it as close as possible, but that's not really the best way to do it. Up here, you've got your magnet tool, or your snapping tool. You can snap to a bunch of different things. For this, we're using vertex snapping, because we're snapping these two vertices to these two. You're going to turn the magnet on. Now you're going to see it pop on. Boom. So now these vertices are stacked on each other, which is kind of annoying. So we're going to go select everything in there. We're going to press M to merge, and then by distance. And the distance is incredibly small, so they literally have to be on top of each other. I think from here, I'm going to go back to my face mode, extrude this out a little bit along the Z so that I can give it a little fin. And then from here, I'm going to grab everything, grab it. I'm going to Shift Z to lock it on the flat plane, and then pass it back here, draw it on over. You could probably move it over a little more. Right here's pretty good. That looks plane-like. So now we only have it on one side, and since we made it a shape completely different from this one, we can't really do the same thing where we just extrude it outwards just on different sides. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a modifier. These are really cool. They help you do a lot of different things. You can search for the one you want, and the one you want here for this case is mirror. Now the mirror is kind of weird. I kind of hate this one, but it will help. It's good to learn how to use it. So right here, I did it pretty perfectly. So we want to mirror along the x-axis. And so we're just making another one that's basically chained to what happens to this one. So if I grab it, it moves around now. So that's done. I'm not going to touch that anymore. Now I'm going to make our third top fin. So I'm going to go back to object mode. I'm going to make maybe just a cube this time. I'm going to bring it out in the front, grab lock to the Y, go back to edit mode, should be in faces, and I'm just going to select the whole thing, scale it along the X to shrink it down. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. I'm going to make it a triangle basically. I'm going to snap these vertices. You do it by the cursor and not just by this. And I'm going to merge them, and then I think I'm going to do the same thing where I extrude this out. Maybe a little more. I'm going to grab it and drag it a little more out across the Y. And then I'm just going to select this edge to make it more of a fin. I'm going to grab it and move it a little bit up. Perfect. Stop snapping from happening. There we go. Grab it along the Z, along the not X. I'm just gonna embed it in the plane. That should be perfect. Our plane needs to fly, so of course we need to use, I'm thinking we need some jet engines to make the plane actually fly. So from here, we're gonna make a cylinder. Grab this guy out, bring him out, and then I'm gonna go to edit mode, rotate him so he's the direction that we want him, 90, and then I'm gonna snap it to the X. He's a little big, so I'm gonna just size him down. That should be okay. And so now I'm gonna use one of my favorite tools for adding detail easily. This is the inset tool. It basically just makes a new loop by collapsing in the edges and vertices you already have. So I'm going to use this to make a new face, and then I'm going to extrude, not outwards, but inwards to cave it in, sort of. And we can add more detail, maybe a smaller inlay, push it in more, and then that'll be like our turbine, I guess, and then this will be the little dot you see in the middle. And that should be good. And then maybe on this side, we'll make it sort of a bigger engine-y type of deal. There we go. And I think we're going to do basically the same thing we did with these fans, or these wings. So I'm going to grab it along everything but the Z, and I'm going to drag it over. Probably right there seems good. And I'm going to go zoom in closer, grab it, and just move it along the Z. So move it down until that should be fine. That's close enough. And then we're going to apply that same mirror filter to just dump it over to the other side. So now we have a fully functioning plane, basically, except people are definitely going to want to ride in it. So we're going to add some windows. So we're going to go, that's the wrong one, sphere. We're going to go find our mesh. We should make a cockpit for the guy. I'm going to say we go into vertex mode and we grab these and bring them down along the Z. And we make it flatter. Now from here, the easiest way to make windows is just going face mode, selecting these two, and then inset. So from here, we're going to make one big window if we just do it as is. But as you'll see, this will pop up, this little menu. You can change all sorts of things from here. How big it is specifically, all these stuff. But this individual part is one of the most important because it'll put an inset of the same size on every face you have selected instead of just putting an inset on the entire selection. So if we left click, we have that now. Can select it again. I'm just gonna extrude them probably on the Y just to make them little eyeballs. I'm not gonna do anything super complicated. And then along here, we got our passenger windows. Maybe not that far back, but above the wing. These are going to be real simple. I'm going to go into this mesh mode, mesh view, so I can just see. Okay, go back to the normal mode. We're going to do the same thing we did with the other windows. Boom. And I think, just like the pilot, we're going to extrude not along that axis because that one's not working. We're going to scale it. Looks a little wonky, but scaling it along the X will bring it in and out of both sides. And we're just going to put it a little bit in. So now we have windows for our people. So that's basically all of the simple tools you'll have to use. If there's ever anything you think you could use, or you find in a video or anything there's always the ability to press F3, and this will bring up a list of, or a search bar for literally any tool. This mesh fill, or the fill holes, that really helps a lot. I could show you. Go into face mode, select these two, and we'll press X to delete the faces. And then, yeah, from here, we can go to our edge mode. We'll select all these. You could select all these individually, but an easier way to do that is just press Alt and click. That'll select all the edges along the loop. And for this, it'll select all the ones around here. So Alt, and then we'll use our F3 to use grid fill. And this will basically put it back together. But that'll fill any sort of hole you have in your project, whether it's circular or not. So yeah, that's basically mostly everything. Other than, I guess, one part. We could select all this, and I can show you one of the most popular modifiers that you'll use. You'll probably use a bevel. This one kind of just makes everything look smoother. You got your amount. Sometimes it works a little better than it does other times, but percent should help us. Yeah. So these modifiers don't actually affect your mesh or what you're working with, but it'll affect how it renders, how it comes out. So we'll say, that's a nice bevel. Makes everything a little cleaner. And then we could also look to make a possible subdivision surface. That one sounds kind of complicated, but it just adds more faces. It multiplies the faces you have already in your object, basically. So you can change it. For the wings, it might work a little weird, but it makes everything super smooth, which can help you make things that are more spherical and more natural. And yeah, that's basically it. Now you have a fully fledged plane. And you can make literally anything you want. It's a good skill to learn.